To my knowledge, an Encanto show is not a thing that has been planned or announced, but I still want to talk about what one could be like, so... Pressure that'll tip, tip, tip till you just go pop, whoa. Give it to your sister's stronger. Wait, no, that's the wrong part. No, I have failed you, Luisa. Pressure that'll tick, tick, tick till it's ready to blow. Whoa, give it to your sister's stronger. So I loved Encanto. Greetings and salutations, beautiful humans. This is the Amity Elf here. If you can't tell, I tried to do kind of a Madrigal-inspired look. Like, I got the butterfly, the green with like, you can't tell that it's green, but the green eyeshadow is supposed to kind of represent Bruno. So I saw Encanto many weeks ago. I adored it. I adore all of the characters. That's honestly why I'm making this video. Like, I feel like the story is complete. I feel like the plot is pretty much like solid. I'm not making this because I was thinking, oh man, we can go so much farther plot-wise. I'm making this because I was thinking, I want to spend more time with these characters. I want to hang out in their house. I want to get to see their rooms. And their doors. I wanna see what Camilo's doing, what Dolores is up to. Let's hang out with these guys a little more. Felix, my love. Felix. Felix. I'm getting ahead of myself though. If you've been subscribed to this channel for a while or have been just kind of like lurking, watching the videos for a while, then you know that a while back I made what I would want to see in a Tiana series episode. That one was in response to the fact that they are making a Tiana series on Disney Plus, and I was like, hey, what would be cool for that? Here's what I think we should have in that. But this one is just like, they have not announced an Encanto show. I just really want to talk about what one would be like. I'm gonna kind of jump into this. Like in the Tiana video, I'm gonna go over what conflicts I might want to see, what characters I would want to see, or what I would want to see happen for the characters who exist. And I'm gonna go over like what pitfalls I think the hypothetical show that isn't being made should avoid. I myself am not Colombian, nor am I a person of Colombian descent, so this is not me speaking with any authority on the subject. I'm just kind of saying, hey, I, a viewer who enjoyed Encanto, am going to say what I think a show could be like. Speaking broadly, I would want it to be a musical show just because I want everything to be a musical. That's kind of just my thing. I feel like any show based in the universe of Encanto would either have to take place after the events of the movie, or it could take place during the childhood or teenhood of Bruno, Pepa, and Julieta. I feel like that time period must have been wild, and I would really want to see those characters young, and I feel like it would be really, really cool. I have ideas for what a show like that would be like, but I'm going to kind of focus in this video on what a show that takes place after the events of the movie would be like. So if you want to see a video on what I think a show covering the teen or childhood years of Pepa, Bruno, and Julieta would be like, then you can leave a comment and I'll make another video. Let's go into the conflicts. What conflicts would I want to see? In the Tiana video, I said that a conflict I would want to see is, oh no, Maldonia is being threatened with colonization of a different country and we have to stop them, etc. For Encanto, I definitely would not want anything like that. Encanto needs to stay safe. The magic is strong, Encanto is safe. They are not threatened with any outside forces. It feels wrong if that were to happen, like it would bring back existing trauma. We don't want to re-traumatize Abuela Alma. That's her name, right? Alma? We don't want to re-traumatize Abuela. That's not necessary and it's not fun. I also might not want it to be a show where they just kind of hang out in Encanto the whole time. By the way, I'm gonna kind of use Encanto to describe the place they're in. I'm not sure if there's another word for the place they're in, but I believe Encanto is what they usually use to describe the place and also the magic. So I am gonna be calling the place Encanto, and like if you hate that, then sorry. I think instead of having it be a show where someone else comes into Encanto, I think I would instead want it to be a show where some of the main characters have to leave Encanto to find a thing or a person or accomplish a task. I'll get into like why that might be spurred on later on. Having some of the main characters leave Encanto would offer the opportunity for like wilderness exploring and like fun adventures. It would offer some fish out of water stuff. They might go out and interact with a society they haven't interacted with in 2 generations. If this is how we approach it, and for the sake of this video that is how I'm gonna approach it, there would be like a part of the family who's staying and a part of the family that's going. Both of the husbands are staying. Felix and Agustin are staying. Dolores is staying, partially because I want to have romantic scenes between her and Mariano, and partially because I don't see her power being obviously helpful on the field. There's definitely ways in which it can be helpful, but if you're sitting around planning who's gonna go on an adventure, I could see them saying, no, Dolores, you can stay. Pepa's staying because her temperament doesn't really lend itself well to adventure, and also she has like a small child. Julieta's staying because I'm giving her a small child because, by the way, I also want to have a character who can be young and get a door, and we can see some new powers because that's something that I want. So I'm giving Julieta a child, and the show can either start with her pregnant, or it can start with her already having a small child, and we can assume that there's been a time skip between the show and the movie. Basically, there's a new little kid on the Julieta side, and she's got to stay behind to look after them. Abuela's staying, obviously, because we don't want to put Abuela in danger. Abuela needs to stay safe. Antonio is staying because he's young. Now, who's going? Well, Mirabel is going. Mirabel is the protagonist of the movie, and she's like adventurous and really good at doing things without powers. She's super competent, and she's like the heart of the family. So Mirabel's going. Isabella's going. Luisa's going. Camilo might be going. Bruno might be going. I'm torn on Camilo because I feel like Pepa would be like, no, you're staying. So maybe Camilo transforms into somebody else to stow away. I think Bruno would be scared to go, but he would also want to go out of protectiveness for the younger ones. And I think that the adults would probably want him to go so that there can be an adult with Mirabel, Isabela, and Luisa. I think maybe what we're gonna have happen is that they think Bruno goes with them, but actually it's Camilo transformed as Bruno, and he's like, I just wanted to go. Now we don't have a psychic on the team. And Pepa's gonna be really mad, like, Camilo, where? Camilo left! I would just go all in on this idea and say, yeah, it's gonna be Mirabel, Isabela, Luisa, and Camilo. They think Bruno's going, but it was actually Camilo transformed as Bruno. I would say that, but I have some reservations because that kind of makes Bruno look like a coward, because it's like, if Bruno was supposed to be protecting the kids, then why didn't Bruno go? There are ways to take Bruno out of the equation without it being him willingly switching places with Camilo. He could have said to Camilo, hey, I'm gonna take a little longer, tell the others, and Camilo's gonna be like, sure, I'll tell the others, and he just goes. And we can have a reason that Dolores doesn't hear this take place. And then by the time Bruno gets back from whatever he's doing, the group has gone, and he's like, wait, Camilo took my place! And everyone's freaking out, and I want that very much. Having these be the groups that are staying and going offers some resource management tension, because, like, imagine Julieta sends them with a lot of food, so it's like, okay, if you need healing, here is some healing items. Don't just eat them all as regular meals, because you don't know how long you're gonna be gone, you don't know if you're gonna get injured, you need to have those, so make sure you save those for when you need them. Maybe they're running low on healing items at some point. It's like, we gotta save this last arepa. But what about spoiling? What if the food spoils? Don't worry about it, it's a cartoon, nothing spoils. More resource management tension we could have. They think Bruno's gonna go with them so they can have visions whenever they want, but Bruno isn't going with them, so they only have like one fragile sheet of green whatever carrying one vision he's given them. So it's like, okay, we gotta protect this vision, we can't just like break it and have it shatter into a random abyss or something, and naturally in the show at some point it's gonna just like fall into a random abyss, and it's like, oh well, we lost the vision, now what? We only have this one vision to go on, so we gotta like watch out for this particular danger or something like that. It's all we have from Bruno, thanks Camilo. And Camilo's like, wah, wah. Just in general, having there be groups that are staying and groups that are going puts the characters in a position where some people's powers might be useful, but they don't have access to them. The downside is it would involve splitting up the family. Just implicitly, it means you're splitting up the family, and I feel badly about that. It's a bummer. It feels almost like betraying the end of the movie, but they're allowed to go on journeys. They don't have to be constantly in each other's presence to love each other. Now some episode plots, some plots we can have within individual episodes. Here we go. I want there to be a power swap episode just because everyone loves a good power swap. The adventure has already started when this happens. This could be a source of both tension and levity for the characters because it's like, oh no, we need to get past this particular thing, but Luisa doesn't have her super strength anymore. But also it means, okay, we were running out of the healing arepas, but now Isabela has the cooking power, so we're gonna cook a bunch more food so we can be stocked up for this next part of the journey for when we get our powers back. Basically, I want the power swap to be something that causes immediate problems but solves long-term problems. So it's like, in the immediate, we can't get past this thing or do this thing because we don't have our own powers. But in the long term, we are saved because we cooked some arepas, and wow, I said that terribly. But in the long term, we're saved because we cooked ourselves some food for the road. Actually, maybe Camilo should have the cooking power. I think that would be cool. But yeah, and maybe Isabela got the future sight for a minute and she clumsily got through a ritual. And I imagine that's a whole comedic scene of them trying to figure out like the sand circle part of it. And like, how do I start a vision? Oh, I've started a vision. A character who doesn't usually have visions gets to have a vision and do the ritual. So we have one more vision and we have more healing food. Long-term problems have been solved. Like I kind of implied earlier, a power swap would be a kind of like on a timer thing. So it's like everyone gets each other's powers for one day. More things that can happen within episodes are like town squabbles within Encanto. We need to kind of go into like the running of the town in a more specific way than was done in the movie. And the movie was doing other stuff. It's not like a jab at the movie that they didn't go into this. Basically, there can be squabbles between different people in the town, and the madrigals deal with that and kind of help to manage that. Hey, no. I said, one second. Hi there, I'm back. My cat was playing with my eyeliner. I'm gonna give no more context for that. We're gonna have some romance between Dolores and Mariano, so we can have some episodes about them going on a date, Mariano getting used to the rest of the family and stuff. Oh man, now I suddenly wish that I hadn't sent Isabela on a journey, because I kind of wish that she and Mariano could talk like as friends, just like, hey Isabela, I know that we were kind of almost gonna get married, but also like, I don't know why I'm voicing Mariano like a surfer. It's like, I know that we were kind of gonna get married, but can you tell me what Dolores likes? Like, where can I take her for a date? Isabela's just like, well, first of all, Dolores can hear us having this conversation. Second of all, take her to the river. I don't know, something like that. Take her to the river sounds a little sounds a little violent, like you're gonna drown her. Take her to the river. At some point during the show, I want Dolores and Mariano to get married. As I mentioned earlier, Julieta has a young kid at the beginning of the show in my imagination. The kid doesn't yet have a door, but they're gonna have a door soon, and what I kind of want to make of that is that that's gonna be a ticking clock of like, okay, we have to get back from our adventure in time for the door ceremony for our cousin and sibling. We can't miss the door ceremony. It's so important to them and to the family. And to us. Ooh, and then we can have like, oh no, we're gonna miss the door ceremony, moment of hopelessness. But then like, he puts his hand on the doorknob and his power is to make portals, and they just step through the portal. It's like, we're home. In that moment, he just really wishes that they were home. So he puts his hand on the doorknob, and like, as soon as the magic courses through him, a portal shows up and they're on the other end of it. And it's like, we're home. We've made it back to Encanto. I almost want to say that that could be the result of a mechanic of the universe where they say, oh, the magic says that Encanto is closed to outsiders, so if you stay out for too long, you can't come back. But that sounds like something that Encanto just wouldn't do. Encanto wouldn't do that to them. They're family. They are part of Encanto. Encanto knows them. But that would be a problem that the portal could solve, but we're not doing that. Tension is just around making it to the door ceremony, not the idea of being trapped outside forever, because I feel like that's too mean. And also, I don't think that they would leave Encanto for any reason if those are the stakes. Unless it's like, you must find a magic flower to heal this person, Tangled reference, then like, I don't think they would be like, oh yes, this is a worthwhile risk, never seeing my family again. And also Camilo wouldn't be like, hey, I wasn't supposed to go on this mission, but I figure I'm willing to roll the dice on my family. Like that's not something any of them would be willing to do. Back before I had decided to just give Julieta another kid, I was thinking that maybe the way that we get another madrigal to get a door ceremony is that maybe Bruno gets a vision one day and he's like, oh no, there's a little kid in danger. And he kind of like goes out and finds a little kid lost in the woods and brings them back, and he takes responsibility for the kid, so that kid becomes a madrigal, and like a few days later a door appears for them, and it's like, oh man, you're in the family now, and that kid gets a power, which could still happen because I do like the fact that the creators have said that people adopted into the Madrigal family of course would also get doors. I do like the idea of just canonically adding that in as a thing that takes place, but I'm not sure if that maybe is a little too random to just be like, and there's a random kid. And also I feel like maybe Bruno isn't the dad type at this stage of his life. Like he's nailing the uncle thing. He is definitely the uncle type. I don't know if he is yet the dad type, but that could just be me. Maybe a fun little sick day episode. Like some of the madrigals are sick, so some of the underappreciated madrigals have to step up to the plate and like take on their jobs for the day. And that could be an episode where like maybe Felix and Augustine have some emphasis, like they get the spotlight for this episode because they have to like solve some problems that the others would normally solve with their powers. My reservations about that are that maybe little kids watching the show wouldn't care about a dad episode. Like, oh yes, the dad's hanging out, very fun. Maybe we dodge this problem just by the fact that Augustine intrinsically is like the king of slapstick, and we could get a lot of like amusing injuries out of him. It could instead be like an Antonio heavy episode, like, oh, I'm the only one who didn't get sick, so I gotta take care of the family's business, etc. Or maybe Antonio and Julieta didn't get sick, but Julieta's gotta like make soup for the family. I didn't see a lot of Felix and Camilo bonding in the movie. I felt like their relationship was very much jokey and kind of Camilo poking fun at Felix. I wanted to see kind of more bonding between them, but that's just like, I wanted to see bonding between a lot of the parent-child combinations that didn't interact much. Like, I loved how Augustine ran out after Luisa when Luisa started crying. I loved that. I'm a loser! Luisa! The fact that I'm splitting up the family maybe takes away some of the opportunities for these interactions, but okay, we're now going into the character section where it gets way more organized because I have way more ideas. For the characters, we want to see some progression from the movie version. We don't want to just reset the status quo for characterization because that's lame. As we've gone over with regards to my feelings about how the Descendants franchise treated Audrey, I don't like it when you have a character learn a lesson and then pretend that never happened. If you have them like maybe relapse a little bit, like, oh no, I'm falling into the old patterns, that's fine. But if you just act like, no, she's a mean girl because she was a mean girl before, it's like, no, they smiled at each other, they're fine now, they're over it. Why are you acting like she's still mad? Also, Audrey deserved better. You can watch some of my old Descendants videos if you haven't. Just forewarning, I'm not gonna do too much to characterize the dads except have them keep being awesome the way they are. Felix is still gonna be like really soft and loving and like just the biggest cinnamon roll who I want to hug.
Sorry, mi vida go on.
And kind of like excited and animated. Basically, Felix's thing is that he's like soft and loving and animated and stuff, and that's just movie canon. I'm not gonna really build on it too much because we got a lot of characters. Augustine's thing is gonna still be that he's super ride or die for his wife and kids.
I was thinking of my daughter.
Also still accident prone, and maybe we can kind of build on the accident prone thing and give him like a Milo Murphy energy. But that's really all I'm gonna do with the dads. Mirabel, an underrated character who just like, I love Mirabel, but we spend a lot of time with her, so like I guess people aren't feeling a lack of Mirabel is the thing. People love Mirabel because she looks so cool, like her glasses are great, but like we spend the entire movie with her, so we don't feel a loss of Mirabel. We don't need to make Mirabel moment compilations because the whole movie is Mirabel moments. For the show, Abuela obviously is still the head of the household, but Mirabel is largely the conduit for the like interactions and relationships, sort of. She's the conduit for like problem solving. She's basically stepped into that role ever since she solved that one problem in that movie. Personality-wise, she's pretty much the same as in the movie. She's still confident, she's still caring, she's still sympathetic to the problems of her siblings and cousins. She's determined and good-natured. The main change is that she's not as insecure as she was in the movie. Like in the movie, she had moments of like, wow, I guess I'm just not special. Now she's kind of over that and she's just like, what I bring to the table is super valuable and I believe in myself, and it's great. She's no longer just saying that to say it, now she truly believes in herself. One appearance update maybe we can make is like have like a strap on the back of her glasses so she doesn't lose them during adventures. Isabela, I love Isabela. Isabela is gonna be fully done with her perfection stuff in the sense that like she's not gonna still be wearing what she was wearing in the movie. She's not gonna be as like immaculate anymore. I think she's gonna have elements of her original look and she's gonna have elements of the look she had when she was making a mess and throwing powder on herself and stuff. Like her hair can be kind of colored and maybe it's a different color at different times because she's not dyeing it, she's just putting powder in it from like her plants that she loves. And maybe we kind of have like vines encircling her arms at all times, or just like with particular outfits, because this is gonna be the kind of show where they change outfits. So some of her outfits involve like vines encircling her arms and like legs and stuff, and maybe when she's angry her vines grow thorns, and that can be something. For adventures, she creates infinite food. She can grow any fruit at any time, so they're not gonna be lacking food, they're just gonna be lacking healing food. And Isabella's gonna kind of be chaos incarnate now, and because that's what I want for her. In the song What Else Can I Do, when she sang the lines, can I deliver us a river of sun now? Careful is carnivorous, a little just won't do. Like the idea of like these carnivorous plants, a little just won't do. She's like, I want so many carnivorous plants in my room. I just want to like, I want wall to wall dangerous things. Her whole vibe in that song of like, oh, I love this cactus. It is painful to touch. She just loves new things so much and she does not care if it's dangerous because it's new and it's fun, and she's just, that's gonna be her whole vibe for the show, and it's gonna be awesome. Her disposition itself won't be much different. Like she'll still hold herself like a princess and be very haughty and like flowy in her movements, sort of regal, but now she's just super into things that are considered weird, dangerous, and messy, kind of like Lilo from Lilo and Stitch. If they come across a creepy place or object or plant, then she's gonna be like, oh, this is so cool, I love this. Maybe they're going through the woods and there's like a rustling in the bushes and something like really creepy and weird pops out, and Mirabel's like, ah! And Isabella's just like, it is adorable, that's so cute! Now that she doesn't have to be at 100% conventional femininity, conventional prettiness, and like just conventional behavior in general, like, no, I like what is supposed to be liked and I dislike what is supposed to be disliked. Now that she doesn't have to do all that, she's just gonna be like all in on this is so weird and it's awesome. She's very proud. She might throw some jabs at people, but she's not mean. Also, I think maybe we're gonna give her a snort when she laughs. Maybe she snorts when she laughs. I don't know. I think I'm probably getting that from Mulan too, when one of the princesses, let me think, was that Ting Ting? No, that was Ting Ting. There was, okay, in Mulan 2, there was Mei, there was Sue, and there was Ting Ting. I think it was Ting Ting who had the snort when she laughs, and like she was embarrassed by it, but Ling was like, I love that, and it was cute. Man, Mulan 2 wasn't a good movie, but like it had its merits. Now Luisa. Luisa, I think, might not make as complete a turnaround as Isabela is going to. She might still have trouble moving past her I have to be strong, I have to be resilient thing. I really enjoyed Luisa's arc and I really enjoyed Luisa's song, but I felt like the movie came uncomfortably close to playing it for laughs at times. Like, I love the way the song played out. I've seen people who have said like, oh, I don't like that there's like the dancing donkeys and stuff. I'm okay with the way the song played out visual wise. The problem I had was like in the moments after the song when she would like confess like, oh, I felt weak or this felt heavy, and she would cry in an exaggerated way and like move in an exaggerated floppy way of like and like I get the sense that like the subtext there is, oh, she's being over dramatic.
But then when I went to throw the donkeys in the barn, they were heavy.
It kind of undermined the earnestness with which she felt those things. There are honestly only two parts of the movie that I don't like very much, and it's the way that they have Luisa cry like a baby, like the way that they paint Luisa's crying as kind of comedic at times. And I didn't love the Bruno rap. I felt like that was a little jarring.
There's a lot to say about Bruno. I'll start, okay, Pepa, sorry what you're waiting, didn't need to be upsetting. That wasn't a prophecy, I could just see you was sweating.
Maybe I would have liked the Bruno rap more if they had him not move in such a rubber hose way while it happened. But that was another thing that I felt was a little bit jarring. That's just an opinion though. I'm not saying that they're bad quality. I just personally didn't find those. I couldn't really get there with them. It's like the song took Luisa's feelings very seriously, and it was really poignant, and it phrased things so well, and it hit so hard. So it felt really like a jarring emotional shift and tonal shift to treat it comedically outside of the song. All of this to say, if and when she cries during the show, it's going to be like a normal, earnest, I am a human being who is feeling sad or distressed or upset, and not, haha, she's a big person having a big feeling and that's funny. At some point, I want there to be some character who has a crush on Luisa and she doesn't notice, just because I feel like she'd be the kind of person who wouldn't notice if someone was like actively flirting with her. And also because a character who has a crush on Luisa would absolutely be an audience surrogate. Luisa is gorgeous. I don't know if I'm just like feeling particularly wumpy towards Luisa or what, but I want some genuine hurt comfort to go on with her. I want her to genuinely cry and someone else to genuinely like comfort her. Maybe she has to like hold back a heavy thing so that the others can do what they're doing. Like maybe they have to do some kind of a magical thing to solve a problem, and while they're doing that, Luisa has to hold back a heavy thing and she's straining against it. It's the first time we've seen Luisa strain against something since the magic was faltering. She successfully holds it back. They do their problem solving. The problem is solved, and once all the tension is done, she just passes out and someone has to care for her. I want someone to spoon feed Luisa some soup. Of the three sisters, I think Luisa is going to be the careful one. So like if something is rustling in a bush and then jumps out, Mirabel's gonna be the one who goes, ah! Isabela's gonna be the one who goes, this is adorable, I want to keep it, it's mine now. And Luisa's gonna be the one who's like, wait, don't touch that. She's gonna be the wary one. She might touch it herself, like she might just be like, let me examine this, but she's not gonna let the others touch it. Like, nope, don't touch that, I'm gonna check it first. I realize that she's not the oldest. I realize that Isabela's the oldest, but I think that Luisa's still gonna kind of be like, okay, no, don't. Maybe Isabela doesn't listen to her and still touches it anyway, but like, also side thing, I forgot to mention this earlier, but when Isabela makes friends with the little creepy animal thing, it's gonna be like a sidekick at that point. The thing is going to come with them. It is Isabela's pet now, and it attacks whoever Isabela doesn't like. I'm basically giving Isabela the aesthetic of a villainess of like, oh yeah, she's collecting these creepy things, and like she's got this like weird messed up dog that'll attack for her, and she's like growing all these poisonous plants, but she's chill, she's fine, she's not like evil. She's just got the aesthetic of a villain. Next up, Dolores. Dolores is just so full of secrets and she drops them like laundry. She is spilling tea on characters we haven't even heard of or met, and she is trying her best not to do it, but there's just so much that she knows. I know. Dolores in the movie gives me a slightly haunted vibe, like the way that she kind of holds herself a little tensely, but also floaty. Like she's like light but tense, and she like jumps around like she needs to flee something at any given moment. She moves all swiftly and she makes that little high-pitched noise every now and then, like she's distressed. Like she knows too much and now she just kind of has to live with it. She is under constant threat of hearing something awful and there is nothing she can do about it. She absolutely heard her parents conceive her siblings and there's no one she can talk to about that. Like, who do you go to about that? You know how sometimes you'll be like in a room and you'll suddenly hear part of someone's conversation and it'll sound weird? Like you'll just suddenly tune in because they said a weird combination of words like fart pinata, I don't know, that was the first thing that came to mind. Someone will just like, little fart pinata, and you'll be like, wait, what was the context for that? That happens to her all the time. She can't focus on the conversation she's in because someone 10 houses away said fart pinata, and now she's like, wait, what was the context for that? And one thing I want for her is that Mariano is completely fine with all of this. Kind of like how Felix is completely fine with Pepa like raining all the time and stuff. Like Felix never has a problem with that. He's just like, hey, it's cool. Do your thing. He takes all of Pepa's stuff in stride, and Mariano's gonna take all of Dolores' stuff in stride. If he's talking to her and she accidentally zones out and starts listening to the neighbor, he's gonna just be like, oh, what are they saying? He wants to know what she heard. He's not offended that he has to repeat himself every now and then. I guess kind of the way I'm approaching Dolores for this one is like, her power is not gonna be used for a lot of like plot solving stuff. Maybe at a critical moment she'll hear something she needs to hear, but it's not gonna be used for that most of the time. Like most of the time we're gonna go into how she feels about her power and how her power impacts her daily life and stuff like that. And we're gonna show her being all fluffy with Mariano. They're gonna be like the main couple of the show. Like I said, we get some episodes where they go on dates and they're gonna be like just absolutely besotted, and it's so cute. He's writing her poetry. He's singing her songs. Oh man, yeah, we're gonna get a Mariano song. Maybe a Mariano and Dolores duet. I maybe kind of also want to give Dolores some like quietly eerie moments. Like maybe like, I don't know what context this would happen in, but maybe like at one point she just kind of whispers, I can hear your heartbeat. I can hear the blood in your veins. Now for Antonio. Now, character-wise, maybe we'll give him like a staunch environmentalist vibe of just like, hey, be careful with that animal. Animals are important to me. I'm a kid. As far as power, one thing that we could do is we could say that he doesn't only talk to animals, but also to ghosts. The conceit can be like, oh, he understands all animals, living and dead. And the way that we go about this is, you know how he spent his entire childhood around Mirabel? And you know how at the beginning of the movie, Mirabel like slides down the stairs and says, "Good morning, Abuelo," to Abuelo's portrait?
Morning, Abuelo.
Yeah, so I think I want like Antonio to say, "Morning, Abuelo," to the portrait. And then suddenly he kind of just stops and turns toward the portrait like, huh?
I understand you.
And maybe like we cut away after that, leaving it ambiguous, or maybe we have him having a full one-sided conversation with the portrait and people are like, what's going on with Antonio? And this can kickstart the adventure. Abuelo tells them about something they need to find or someone they need to find, and that's why they leave Encanto. That would be super emotional for everyone involved. The parents and uncle are talking to their father for the first time. Abuela gets to talk to her husband. Ow. Fun fact, Disney would absolutely never do this, and nor should they. I'm wrong for suggesting it. Pepa's whole deal is pretty well established. Now she just kind of won't be as repressed about her emotions.
Oh. Clear skies. Clear skies.
Maybe she'll just be like walking through the house, letting a storm cloud rain on herself casually, just like whatever, it's fine. And then like it stops by itself. It's like, you know, I was sad for a second and then it stopped and it's fine. Maybe one person goes, "Hey, you okay?" And she's like, "Yeah." And they're like, "Okay," and then continue their conversation. Power-wise, the movie does make it clear that she affects all of the weather and not just the little storm cloud that sometimes appears over her head. It's usually represented by that little storm cloud over her head. So like in the show, we're gonna see more of her like manipulating all of the weather. I wanna play more with that all of the weather aspect of it. I want this woman impacting the harvest, Demeter style. I know that there are people in the fandom who feel that Pepa was whitewashed. I don't feel that I'm qualified to say whether that is true or not. There are people who are saying, no, there are Latinx people of many skin tones, and there are people responding, yeah, I know there are Latinx people of many skin tones, but those people are already represented. We should focus more on the darker skinned Latinx people because those are underrepresented. I'm not the one who is allowed to say whether they're right for that. If there is an answer to be arrived at about the skin tone thing, I'm not the one who can arrive at that answer. I do dislike when people decrease the sizes of the Madrigal's noses in fan art. Like that always makes me kind of sad of like, no, that's the kind of thing when you're a visual artist, that is the kind of thing you have to just kind of be conscious of. If you decrease a character's nose size, you are participating in the marginalization of these racialized features. And like, I'm sure you worked really hard on the drawing and the drawing is pretty and all, but like that's something that you need to maybe move forward and think about when you portray characters of color. Okay, moving on to Bruno. Bruno is gonna stay haunted and superstitious and jittery. He's not as nervous as he was in the movie, but he's still gonna have kind of vibes of like knock, 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 knock.
Take the vision.
Like his trauma didn't disappear overnight. I want to play with the idea that Bruno is both cute and creepy. Wait, did I skip Camilo? Oh boy, I skipped Camilo. Sorry, buddy. Middle child stuff, am I right? I'm gonna get to Camilo at the end, I guess. We'll get to Camilo later. I literally have him on the list and I just like scrolled past him. I am so sorry. I love Camilo. Whenever he's on screen, I have to pause and go, man, I love Camilo. He's so funny. I do that with everybody though. But yeah, for Bruno, we're gonna play with the idea that he's both cute and creepy. He kind of lurks silently. Like he's used to kind of moving around the house in silence through the walls and stuff. He has not stopped doing that. People will turn around and he's just there and they'll be like, huh. Or two people will be talking and he'll jump into the conversation like he's always been a part of it and they just did not know he was in the room. So it's just like, whoa, where did you come from? As far as his power, I'm gonna say that the whole sand ritual thing that he does, like that's what he needs to do in order to get a full vision with like a little green printout and everything. That's for the full vision, but he can still see the future without doing the little sand ritual thing. Like occasionally he'll just be going about his day and his eyes will flash green for a moment and he'll see a glimpse of the future. That's partially because unsolicited visions make for good plots, like that can spur on some action pretty well, and partially because that's like a way that his visions can manifest before he knows to do the sand ritual. Like there must have been a point in time where it was like, oh, I have just gotten a door, what is my power? And like that can just be answered by, oh, he had a flash of the future and he was like, oh, that's gonna fall over, and then the thing fell over and it's like, oh man, I guess you can see the future, let's do a sand ritual. And also just partially because I think it would be cool to have him just like talking and suddenly his eyes flash green and he's like, oh no, and he runs in a direction. The sand ritual is still gonna be part of things because like I said, we're gonna get some like printout visions and stuff, and the sand ritual looks really cool and I want to see more of it. I like that the mechanics of the vision involve like, oh, the sand is swirling around and like you see a thing and you get up and follow the thing. Like I like that he like moves with the vision, within the vision. I love that. My cousin and I were talking about Encanto, and they were saying, oh man, I want to know what the deal is with that goldfish lady. Like, why does she still have the goldfish? Why is she so mad about the goldfish? Why was she involved in the little, like, when they were all singing over each other and we don't talk about Bruno? She was in there with the family, like she was of equal importance. So what's the deal with her? What's the story there? Bruno brought her up later. What happened? And I kind of jokingly said, oh, they were dating at the time. Oh yeah, she and Bruno were dating until one day he told her that her goldfish was gonna die and she broke up with him, and that's why there's so much baggage there. I'm not gonna have that be true for the show, I just thought I'd bring it up because I think it's funny. I do think that the characters who had extra speaking parts in the movie should be in the show too. So like Coffee Kid, other kids, bald preacher guy, delivery guy, Fish Lady. Maybe we can give Bruno a crush on Fish Lady and have him pining for her, but I think a lot of people want Bruno to be gay, which by Disney law means, I guess, that he doesn't date anyone. I'm sorry. There aren't a lot of established viable men in town anyway, so that would have to be a new character if we do decide that Bruno is a MLM person. If Bruno does have any kind of romance, it would involve him pining a lot. Julieta doesn't have too much going on in the movie except for like being a loving mom. I feel like she deserves more, but I also am saddling her with a small child and disqualifying her from the adventure for the express purpose of giving us someone with cool powers. So with regards to Julieta's power though, I think that one thing we're gonna establish is that her food heals injuries. It's different with diseases. So if someone gets sick, it'll heal the current symptoms of the illness. So like the deterioration caused by the illness will be healed, but it doesn't get rid of the pathogens. So if you're sick and she gives you an arepa, you won't not be sick. You'll just like, you won't have the symptoms in the immediate anymore. Once the pathogen has gained more ground, you'll get the symptoms again until either you eat more of her food or the pathogens die on their own. If we want to go just bonkers with it, we could say, oh no, don't eat her food while you're sick, because it'll heal your immediate symptoms, but it'll also make the pathogens stronger because they're also eating her food. I don't know, something like that. I don't want to do that because that seems like too much, but it's an option. Maybe to give Julieta more, we can kind of give her a jokey side, because she does have a few jokes in Encanto, like,
You just healed my hand with an arepa con queso.
I healed your hand with my love for my daughter.
Mostly she is kind of be doing her power and taking care of the kid. Sorry, Julieta. If I do make a video about a prequel show, I will give Julieta more to do, but right now there's a lot of characters and she is gonna be a little bit sidelined. Abuela is still more on the serious side, and she's still very principled about like taking care of Encanto and taking care of the townspeople. She's not as hard on her family anymore, but she also isn't always gonna be right. Like sometimes she is gonna kind of be like, no, you can't do that. She's still like the boss, and the boss isn't always right. That's still something, but she's not gonna be like making them feel inadequate anymore. By the way, I just realized it makes like I put some sparkly eyeshadow under my eye, and I just realized it makes it look like I've been crying. So I have not today anyway. Although every time I watch Encanto I cry, fun fact. Now, pitfalls to avoid. Man, I still didn't get to Camilo. Hold on. I really did this whole thing and oh man. Camilo, man, I wish we had some canon vulnerabilities for Camilo, but he seems pretty well adjusted and fine in canon. He's very go with the flow and lighthearted. He's very much doing his own thing in the movie. He doesn't seem to be pushing himself too hard. Like we see that when he's not working, he's relaxing. He isn't particularly curious or worried about the candle's problems. He speaks his mind.
We gonna talk about Bruno.
He's not like afraid of his elders.
What? We don't have a house. I can't say we don't have a house. What is that? Not a house.
He has a nurturing side, like he babysits and he's there for Antonio before his door ceremony. He brings his mother tea when she's stressing out. Like there's a lot. Camilo is a wonderful, wonderful little boy. He is my son, in fact. You have no idea how much I want Camilo to have some angst to work with, but canonically he seems like he's fine. But I am willing to create some hang-ups, so here we go. The fact that he can change shape, he's probably super cavalier about just like changing aspects of himself. There are those who go full angst with it and just like, does Camilo even know what he looks like? What if Camilo just like forgets what he looks like and has to like figure it out? The way I imagine his shape-shifting works is that like it's an on and off thing. He can just turn off his shape-shifting and be himself. He doesn't have to like consciously go, okay, this is my hair length, this is my nose. Like he just turns it off and is himself. So what I am gonna say is maybe he's just like really cavalier about changing aspects of his appearance and like willing to invest conscious thought in it at all times, to the point of maybe, oh, if anyone doesn't like this aspect of me, I can change it and it's fine. So he never develops a sense of, no, this is who I am and I can't like part with it. He's always like, oh, I can just not be that way, it's fine. Like if anyone ever made fun of him for being short, he would just get taller. I guess I'm going like Mystique from X-Men First Class with it. But yeah, we don't see him interact with people enough in the movie, so we get to see him like kind of joke around with Mirabel and Isabela and with Luisa. I already said that he kind of stows away on the trip. He's a bit of a troublemaker, but that's kind of gonna be the most troublemaker-y thing he does, is like stow away. He's still gonna be like competent. He's not gonna be inconveniencing the mission or anything. This is more of a fan fiction thing than a thing that I would want to be canon, but I do want to introduce this now. I think that the madrigals are growing at different rates because they eat Julieta's food in different amounts. I think that maybe Julieta's food does something for aging. Kind of like Rapunzel's hair in Tangled. Because I was watching the movie and I was like, man, Camilo looks really young. Like I was thinking he was like 12 and then I was like, no, he can't be 12 because Mirabel can't be 11 or 12. Like Mirabel can't be younger than like 16. She actually is, but that was what I was thinking at the time. He's older than her because the guy said that the most recent ceremony was hers. So he must be older than Mirabel. So like, why does he look like a little boy? First of all, there doesn't need to be a justification for that. People look various ages. Thomas Brody Sangster, example. But a headcanon that kind of crossed my mind is that maybe like eating Julieta's food kind of gives you youth, like Rapunzel's hair in Tangled, and the family is growing at different rates depending on how much of Julieta's food they've eaten. I have not posted this, but I started writing a fan fiction that literally starts with someone saying, they're all very well preserved, aren't they? I have not posted it and probably won't post it, but I just think it's really cool. They still grow. Eating her food slows it down. Maybe if they were constantly eating her food, then they would stay the same age forever, but they don't, so. That begs to mind whether her healing is a make the clock reverse, bring back what once was mine type thing. When Rapunzel heals Flynn's hand, she is giving him the hand he had before it was injured. So if that is the way that Julieta's power also works, then it would stand to reason that she is like also kind of slowing down their aging process. Camilo is going to be pretty much matching Isabela's chaos, but in a different way. Like he's more wild card kind of chaos, whereas Isabela is more consistent. Like she's consistently, oh, this is new and I like it. Whereas Camilo is kind of like, oh, what is that rustling in the bushes? I'm gonna jump into a tree. Also, sometimes he just tells lies. And I'm getting that entirely from the we don't talk about Bruno thing. There are people who are like, oh, he said those things about Bruno because he was a kid when Bruno left and like Bruno looked tall to him, etc. And it's like, okay, listen, I believe that Bruno looked tall to him. I believe that he like maybe developed certain opinions because he was around his family, etc. I don't believe that he was being earnest in that song. He wasn't like seriously saying, ah, yes, here are my thoughts on Bruno as a 15-year-old. Here's what I believe. He was joking around. Yes, it was derived partially from the fact that he was young when Bruno left and the fact that his family feels certain ways about Bruno, but he himself was making the choice, I'm gonna just tell some lies for fun. He was saying to himself, oh, I'm gonna joke around because Bruno isn't here, he can't be hurt by my words, and like, I don't feel particularly invested in Bruno, I don't remember him that well. Okay, cat, no. What have I said? So the tripod fell over and it's the cat's fault, so I'm kidding, you're doing great. So if the lighting or framing, wait, is that a Dutch angle? What was I talking about? Bruno, no. It was bound to come up eventually. Anyway, I do believe that Camilo was actively, like, he's not emotionally impacted by the fact that Bruno left because he was really young when that happened. He doesn't remember it super well. So, like, he's willing to just kind of joke around about it. Just a little harmless goof. You're gonna deny our little boy a harmless goof? Everything Charlotte says is a lie. It's a lie, it's a lie, it's a lie. But yeah, I feel like he doesn't lie recreationally in an actual way, but like if they're going into town, he will make up cover stories for no reason. It's like, we don't need cover stories. We're not doing anything wrong. Oh, also the like new kid. There's gonna be, I've already said we're gonna have a new kid. The new kid, I'm gonna name, whatever, I'm not gonna name the kid, and I'm not gonna gender the kid. They have a kid, and the kid is gonna be clingy. That's their thing, is gonna be that they're clingy. And that's gonna kind of contrast the fact that Antonio is kind of, wait a minute, if we're doing a time skip, then Antonio's like 10 now. Oh, that's so cute. Antonio's gonna be like, oh, that's so cute. Wait, no. If there's a time skip, then there's no way that Antonio wouldn't have, well, I guess maybe Pedro, maybe Abuelo just hadn't spoken to him yet. Like it just wasn't time yet. That's a little mean though. Like you're a ghost, you have the opportunity to talk to him and you just don't. I'm torn now. I don't know if we're gonna do the time skip or we're just gonna like make the baby a baby or what. But if we're doing a time skip, and if we're gonna have a little kid who can manipulate portals, then they're gonna be super close to Antonio because, you know, they're the little ones in the family. And they're gonna be clingy and like they'll be holding onto their mother's leg a lot, holding onto their dad's leg. Maybe that can be part of like the sick day episode where Augustine and freaking Felix get a chance to shine, is that like the baby is also kind of grabbing onto them all at all times. Now we're doing pitfalls. Okay, whew. Editing's gonna be fun. Some pitfalls to avoid. I am not Colombian, so assume that I'm couching all of this with I think. One thing we want to avoid doing is straying from the magical realism genre. Since I mentioned, like, in my idea, we are having the characters leave Encanto. While that's happening, we don't want when they step outside everyone to be like, what? There's magic? Maybe they can be shocked that there's a town nearby that they don't know about. Like, what? We haven't seen a town over there. But when the characters say, oh, it's hidden by magic, then that should be a sufficient explanation of like, oh, magic, of course, one of the standard mechanics of the universe that we're familiar with. That's fine. When they step outside, magic is still a thing. Maybe not powers in the same way, because I do want them to be special, but there is like magic. There's magic out there. People know about it. I just don't want colonization to be a thing at all. I don't know if that's really a pitfall so much as just like a thematic thing that I don't want. Okay, note to self, remember to put the Camilo section where it goes instead of like popping it into the middle of the pitfalls thing, because yes, this is how long it took me to remember to do Camilo. Camilo is in my top 3 favorite characters, and still, because he's a middle child, I it's like, that's just how middle he is. Man, I'm so sorry, Camilo. We don't want to have Abuela slip into being dismissive of her family's problems again. Like, we don't want her to be emotionally inattentive anymore. She's gonna, like I said, she's not always gonna be right, but as far as the whole being emotionally neglectful thing, we're done with that. We've moved past that. She is super loving to her family in an accepting way, and they feel the love. It's great. It's probably bad if I say that rap is a pitfall that I want to avoid, but basically, if we're gonna do rap, it has to be a good rap. It can't be rap for the sake of rap. And I'm not trying to be like stodgy about this. It was such a tonal shift in Encanto when like suddenly Bruno started rapping in the middle of a soft song. There are people who like that part, I'm sure. It's like, it's just my opinion, but I found that part really sudden and abrupt, and like I didn't like the fact that he was moving all like this and stuff, and it felt like just too comedic too suddenly, and I was like, I appreciate that we have now conveyed the fact that, oh yeah, his whole looks like rain thing, he wasn't saying a vision, he was just telling a fun little joke to his sister like, oh, looks like rain, am I right? And she's like, what? Like, that's great. I love that we've put that spin on the scene. I just wish we hadn't done it in a weird sudden rap. And like, while I was watching it, my mom was like, oh, that sounds like Lin-Manuel Miranda. And then she found out that Lin-Manuel Miranda was one of the people who did the music on the movie, and it's like, oh, I get that you have a stylistic thumbprint, but like maybe we don't need to press it down so hard, you know? That being said, I think Encanto was like really good at knowing when to have a song, because I know the first time I watched Moana, as soon as Tamatoa was like, I'm gonna sing, I was like, wait, no, you're not a major character, why are you singing? But then the song was good, and I was like, oh, I love this song, so you're forgiven, but also plot-wise, why do we give this character a song? Looking back, I feel more positively towards it, but like, just hearing what they've said about it, of just like, oh yeah, it's a ideological contrast to Moana because like he's saying that what's on the outside matters or something like that, and it's like, well, no, that's not a problem Moana ever really had. That's like, if you're saying it's an ideological contrast to Maui, then sure, but it's not really like a hang up that Moana herself had. This is a Maui moment, and it's fine that it's that. It's just when the song started, I was like, him? I feel like this felt like it was just like a little task we had to do on the side to get us hooked back to fill the runtime. I didn't think we needed to really hammer in this one, but then like it was important because we learned about Maui and we learned stuff, and it was a good song, like I said, I get it. But at the time I was confused. I'd rather be shining. Why did I bring that up? Ay, mariposas. Man, I can't listen to that song just like in a day. Like I can't just be like in the grocery store listening to that song. I have to sit down and play it and just be like, feel the feelings. Dos oruguitas enamoradas. And the actual visuals of the song are also really good. Like the way that Pedro and the way that Pedro and Alma fall in love is like really cute. In that moment where she's like, baby, actually 3 babies, and he's like, but he's like, he like faints, but he's pretending to faint. That was cute. Also, it made me ask, hey, do they have ultrasound? I don't care, because that was adorable. Okay, unless I think of more stuff, I guess this is the end of the video. Thank you for watching. Have a great day. This has been very fun to make. It wasn't as detailed as my Tiana video, and I feel a little bit bad about that. If I do another video where we talk about like, oh, what was their childhood or teenhood like, that would probably have to be more detailed because there's fewer characters established, so I'd have to make up some characters, and that could be fun. And also because like I'd have to make up a whole plot that involves them staying within Encanto because they haven't left. So that could be fun. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Have a great day. Drink water, eat vegetables, stay safe. And you know something? You're doing great. I'm very proud of the way you've gone through the day. And have a great rest of the day. I just made something unexpected. Something sharp, something new. A hurricane of hot calendars, strangling figs, hanging vines. What else can I do? I love the way she says do. Like, I love the way she doesn't say like, what else can I do? She says, what else can I do? Like, I love that. It makes me feel happy.